Welcome back to Dark Vault. I am Sammy, and today we have a story that will shake you to your core. The most disturbing child trafficking network in modern history. Young girls, some as young as 13, recruited from shopping malls, from outside schools, from the streets, lured with money and false promises, and then trafficked to presidents, princes, and billionaires on a private island in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. The man who built this network was Jeffrey Epstein, a billionaire, untouchable, protected by the most powerful people on Earth. The FBI investigated 36 confirmed child victims, a case that should have put him away for life. Instead, a secret deal was made in the dark. He served 13 months in luxury and walked free. And then one night, when the cameras mysteriously failed and the guards fell asleep, the man who knew every secret died in his cell. Today on Dark Vault, we take you inside the Epstein Files, the island, the children, the powerful men who were protected, and the million pages your government is still fighting to keep from your eyes. This is the story they never wanted you to hear. Stay with us. This island has a name, Little St. James, 72 acres in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. From the outside, it looks like paradise. The most beautiful private island money could buy. But the people who lived near it, the fishermen, the locals, the families on the surrounding islands, they had another name for it. They called it the Pedophile Island. And what happened on this island involved some of the most powerful men on Earth: presidents, princes, billionaires, scientists, politicians, men whose names you know. This is the story of Jeffrey Epstein, and this is the Epstein Files. (1970), Brooklyn, New York. A young man takes a job teaching mathematics at an elite private school called the Dalton School. He is 20 years old. He does not have a college degree, but he has something else, an almost supernatural ability to make people trust him. His name was Jeffrey Epstein, and at this point in the story, he is nobody. A math teacher from a working-class family in Brooklyn. Unremarkable, unknown. But he is watching, he is learning, and he has his eye on a much bigger world. He left teaching and talked his way into Bear Stearns, one of Wall Street's most powerful banks. With no formal qualifications, no degree, and no connections, he became a trader, and then something more dangerous, a fixer. A man who solved problems for the very rich. In the 1980s, Epstein met Leslie Wexner, the billionaire founder of Victoria's Secret, one of the wealthiest men in America. Wexner did something almost no one does with their fortune. He gave Epstein total control of it, every bank account, every property, every financial decision. The reason why has never been fully explained, but the result was clear. Almost overnight, Jeffrey Epstein became extraordinarily rich. He bought the largest private townhouse in all of Manhattan, 9 stories, 21,000 square feet, on the most expensive street in New York City, a private ranch in New Mexico, 75,000 acres, larger than some countries, a luxury apartment in Paris, a mansion in Palm Beach, and of course, the island. To reach the island, Epstein flew his own private Boeing 727 jet. He called it his plane. The world came to call it something else, the Lolita Express. The flight logs of that jet would later become one of the most important pieces of evidence in one of the most extraordinary scandals in modern history, because of who was on it. Bill Clinton flew on that jet 26 times. Donald Trump, at least 8, according to Epstein's own emails, despite Trump publicly claiming he never did. Prince Andrew of Britain, Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, Hollywood stars, tech billionaires, scientists, politicians from across the world. Epstein maintained a contacts book, a small black leather diary filled with the private phone numbers of some of the most powerful people on Earth. It was not a social book. It was an insurance policy. Because Jeffrey Epstein had a system. His island, his properties, his social circle, all of it was designed around one thing: gathering leverage over powerful men, recording them, compromising them, and making sure they could never turn against him. This is what Jeffrey Epstein actually was. Not a financier, not a philanthropist, not a socialite. He was a predator who had built the most sophisticated protection system in the world. And at the center of that system was the island. No one understood Jeffrey Epstein's operation better than the woman who helped him run it. Ghislaine Maxwell, the daughter of Robert Maxwell, a powerful British media mogul and newspaper tycoon who died in mysterious circumstances in 1991, falling from his yacht near the Canary Islands. After her father's death, Ghislaine's world collapsed. His companies had been looted, his pension funds were empty. She was suddenly without money, without status, without the protection of his name. And then she met Jeffrey Epstein. Their relationship was many things: former lovers, business partners, co-conspirators. Epstein gave her his Manhattan mansion to live in. She gave him something far more valuable: access. She opened doors into the highest levels of British society, European aristocracy, and American elite. She was the perfect front. But Ghislaine Maxwell had a specific, critical role in Epstein's operation. She was the recruiter. She would identify young girls, mostly between 13 and 17 years old, at shopping malls, outside schools, at parks and public places. She would approach them warmly, like a friendly older woman, offer them opportunities, money, work, a chance at a better life. She was charming, she was elegant. She was from a famous family. These girls trusted her. That trust was the weapon. Once on the island or at one of Epstein's properties, passports were taken. Non-disclosure agreements were signed by girls who barely understood what they were signing. And the instruction was always the same: you will do what you are told, and you will tell no one. Maxwell ran the operation like an estate manager. Organized, efficient, meticulous. She normalized the abuse. She participated in it. She was not a passive bystander. Prosecutors would later describe her as the key facilitator, the person without whom Epstein's crimes on the scale he committed them would not have been possible. In June 2022, a federal jury found Ghislaine Maxwell guilty on 5 counts of sex trafficking and related charges. The judge sentenced her to 20 years in federal prison. She is currently serving that sentence in Florida. She has appealed. The appeal has failed. She will be in prison until at least 2037. March 2005. Palm Beach, Florida. A 14-year-old girl walks into a police station with her parents. She is frightened. She is shaking, but she has decided to speak. She told detectives that a classmate had approached her with an offer. Go to a wealthy man's house, give him a massage, walk away with $200 or $300. When she arrived, the man was wearing only a towel. What happened next was a crime, a serious, violent crime against a child. The man's name was Jeffrey Epstein. The detective who took her statement asked one question that changed everything. Do you know of any other girls who were taken to this man's house? She gave 2 names. Those 2 gave 2 more. Those 2 gave 2 more. The chain did not stop. Within months, the Palm Beach police chief had identified 35 victims, all minors, all recruited through the same pyramid system. Every girl paid extra to bring in another girl. Epstein had turned his victims into his recruitment network. It was a calculated, deliberate, industrial system of child abuse. In July 2006, the FBI opened a federal investigation. They called it Operation Leap Year, a 53-page report. Victims interviewed from Florida to New York to New Mexico. The charges being considered: international sex trafficking of minors, 36 confirmed minor victims, dozens of witnesses. A federal case built by some of the most experienced prosecutors in the country. Jeffrey Epstein was facing the rest of his life in federal prison. That is what should have happened. That is what justice required. But that is not what happened. Because while the FBI was building its case, something else was happening in a private office in Miami. Something that would become one of the greatest miscarriages of justice in American legal history. His name was Alexander Acosta, the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, a government prosecutor, a man with the power and the duty to bring Jeffrey Epstein to justice. Instead, Acosta entered into secret negotiations with Epstein's team of lawyers, among the most expensive and well-connected defense attorneys in the United States. What they produced is known as a non-prosecution agreement, and it is extraordinary. Under this deal, Epstein would plead guilty to just 2 minor state charges of solicitation of prostitution. In return, he and all of his known associates, meaning everyone else who was involved, would receive complete immunity from all federal charges. Every count of sex trafficking, every federal crime, gone forever for everyone. And the deal was sealed, meaning it was hidden, even from the victims. Under United States law, the Crime Victims' Rights Act specifically requires that victims be consulted before any such agreement is made. Acosta's team violated this law. Deliberately, they did not tell the 36 girls. They did not tell their families. They did not tell the FBI agents who had spent years building the case. Acosta later told reporters that he had been instructed to back off, that Epstein belonged to the intelligence community, that he was above his pay grade. These claims were never proven, but the deal he signed was very real. In June 2008, Jeffrey Epstein appeared in court and pleaded guilty. The sentence, 18 months, not in a federal penitentiary, in a private wing of the Palm Beach County Jail. Under a work release program that his lawyers negotiated, Epstein was permitted to leave the jail 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, to go to his luxury office in Palm Beach. He was required to return only to sleep. He was driven there in a private car. His staff worked with him. He continued to run his business. He was released entirely after just 13 months, 5 months early. He walked out of that building in July 2009, a free man with a federal guarantee of immunity from any further prosecution. And he went straight back to his island. Alexander Acosta, the prosecutor who arranged this deal, was later appointed by Donald Trump as the United States Secretary of Labor, one of the most senior cabinet positions in the American government. The man who protected Jeffrey Epstein from justice became a member of the president's cabinet. For years after his release, almost nothing was written about Jeffrey Epstein. The deal was sealed. The victims were legally bound by settlements and non-disclosure agreements. The media had moved on. The story seemed buried, but one journalist had not moved on. Julie K. Brown, an investigative reporter at the Miami Herald. For years, she tracked the case quietly, carefully, methodically. She identified over 80 potential victims. She found and interviewed 8 of them. Women who had been silenced for years and who, for the first time, agreed to speak on the record. What they told her was devastating. Not just what Epstein had done, but how the system, the prosecutors, the courts, the deal, had worked together to protect him and abandon them. In November 2018, The Miami Herald published Julie Brown's report. She called it "Perversion of Justice." It ran as a multi-part series with video testimony, documents, and evidence. It was one of the most important pieces of investigative journalism in recent American history. The public reaction was immediate and furious. Demands for investigation flooded Congress. Pressure built on the Department of Justice. And in New York, federal prosecutors who had never been part of Acosta's deal started their own investigation. On the 6th of July 2019, as Epstein's private jet landed at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey, FBI agents were waiting on the tarmac. Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. This time the charges were federal: sex trafficking of minors, conspiracy to commit sex trafficking. The potential sentence, 45 years. Bail was denied. For the first time in his life, Jeffrey Epstein had no way out. He was taken to the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Lower Manhattan. And the world held its breath, because everyone knew if Epstein talked, entire empires would fall. The 10th of August, 2019, 3:27 in the morning. Both guards assigned to monitor Epstein's cell block were asleep, simultaneously, both of them. This had never happened before. Both would later plead guilty to falsifying prison records, claiming they had checked on inmates when they had not. The security camera outside Epstein's cell had malfunctioned. The footage from that night, the footage that would have shown definitively what happened, was either corrupted or missing. The Department of Justice would later describe this as a sarcastic, perfect storm of negligence. Epstein had been placed on suicide watch 3 weeks earlier, following what appeared to be a first attempt. Then, inexplicably, he was removed from suicide watch, just days before his death. The decision was made by prison officials whose names have never been made fully public. At approximately 6:30 in the morning, guards found Jeffrey Epstein unresponsive in his cell. He was pronounced dead at 7:30 a.m. He was 66 years old. The New York City medical examiner ruled the cause of death as hanging. Manner of death, suicide. But a second forensic pathologist hired by Epstein's estate, Dr. Michael Baden, one of the most respected forensic experts in the world, examined the same body and reached a different conclusion. The pattern of injuries, he said, was more consistent with homicidal strangulation than suicide. Within hours of the announcement, the phrase that defined a generation of skepticism was born. Epstein didn't kill himself. It spread across the internet, faster than almost any phrase in the social media era. Not because people were conspiracy theorists, but because the circumstances were so extraordinary, so convenient for so many powerful people, that the official verdict felt impossible to accept. Whether Jeffrey Epstein took his own life, or whether someone took it for him, we do not know. We may never know. What we do know is this: the moment he died, every powerful man who had ever visited his island breathed a little easier. The witness was gone. The testimony would never come. And the secrets, they thought, would die with him. They were wrong. Of all the powerful men connected to Jeffrey Epstein, none fell further or more publicly than Prince Andrew, the second son of Queen Elizabeth II, a senior member of the British royal family, a man who believed his birth had made him untouchable. Prince Andrew's connection to Epstein was long and well documented. He had visited the island. He had stayed at the Manhattan Mansion. He had attended Epstein's parties. Photographs placed him at events alongside Epstein and Maxwell going back to the 1990s. But the most serious allegation came from Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's most prominent survivors. She alleged that she was trafficked to Prince Andrew on 3 separate occasions when she was 17 years old. She alleged sexual abuse, and she was specific about the details, the dates, and the locations. In November 2019, Prince Andrew gave an interview to BBC Newsnight that is now studied in journalism schools as one of the most catastrophic attempts at reputation management in modern history. He said he had no memory of ever meeting Virginia Giuffre. He expressed no sympathy for Epstein's victims. The interview made everything worse. In February 2022, with a civil lawsuit in New York proceeding toward trial, Prince Andrew reached a settlement with Virginia Giuffre. The terms are confidential, but reports indicated a payment of approximately $12 million. He admitted no wrongdoing, but he did not go to trial. For many people, that was answer enough. In October 2025, following new revelations from the Epstein Files, Prince Andrew was stripped of the title of Prince. He is now simply Andrew, Duke of York. The fall of a man born a royal prince, to someone whose name must now be spoken without a title. The final humiliation came in December 2025, when emails from Ghislaine Maxwell were released as part of the Epstein Files. In those emails, Maxwell used a code name when referring to a VIP guest who was requesting access to young girls. The code name was the Invisible Man. Investigators confirmed the Invisible Man was Prince Andrew. When Jeffrey Epstein died in 2019, the case did not die with him. The FBI continued its investigation. Grand juries were impaneled, documents were seized, evidence was cataloged, and sitting inside the vaults of the United States Department of Justice was something the whole world wanted to see. The Epstein Files. Over 1 million pages of documents, flight logs, visitor records, correspondence, financial records, photographs, videos, and most importantly, a list. The names of everyone who visited the island, everyone who flew on the jet, everyone who was implicated. During the 2024 presidential campaign, Donald Trump made a promise. "If I am elected," he said, "I will release the Epstein Files. I will make them all public, everyone." Trump won the election. He was inaugurated in January 2025, and the world waited. His supporters were especially excited. For years, they had been told that the Epstein Files would expose powerful Democrats, Bill Clinton in particular. Finally, they believed the truth was coming. What actually happened was very different. In February 2025, Attorney General Pam Bondi claimed dramatically that the Epstein client list was sitting on her desk. The announcement generated enormous excitement. Then, nothing came. In July 2025, the Justice Department announced that the client list did not exist. No list, no names, nothing to release. Trump himself changed his position. He called the Epstein Files a boring issue. He called it a Democrat hoax. He said the FBI should focus on other things. His own supporters were stunned. Elon Musk, at that point perhaps Trump's closest political ally, posted on social media that Trump's name appeared in the Epstein Files, then deleted the post. But the message had been received, and it turned out Musk was not wrong. Documents released as part of the partial file dump showed that Trump had traveled on Epstein's plane at least 8 times, directly contradicting Trump's repeated public claim that he had never done so. An Epstein email noted that Trump knew about the girls because he asked Maxwell to stop. Trump's Justice Department began behaving as though it were his personal legal team. Rape allegations documented in the files were called, without investigation, untrue and sensational. A letter signed with Epstein's name, writing that our president also loves young girls, was dismissed as a fake, without forensic analysis, without any investigation at all. In November 2025, in a rare moment of genuine bipartisan action, Both Republican and Democratic members of Congress voted together to pass the Epstein Files Transparency Act. The law gave the Justice Department until December 19, 2025, to release all remaining documents. December 19th came, 30,000 pages were released, but the documents were so heavily redacted, so blanketed with black bars, that they were nearly unreadable. Names removed, dates missing, entire pages nothing but black rectangles. And over 1 million pages remain unreleased. The Justice Department said redactions were necessary to protect victim privacy. Critics said they were necessary to protect powerful men. The fight between those two positions is still happening today. What has been confirmed from the documents released so far? Prince Andrew's code name, Trump's additional flights, Maxwell's full operational role, the existence of recordings, the extent of the blackmail system. What has not been confirmed? The complete client list, the full extent of who visited the island, the identities of every person who participated in the abuse, and the full truth of what happened to Jeffrey Epstein on the night of August 9, 2019. Little St. James Island is empty now. The boats are gone. The helipad is overgrown. The mansion stands dark and silent behind its locked gate. The FBI has been through every room, every corridor, every tunnel. This story began with a girl, a 14-year-old girl in Palm Beach, Florida, in March 2005, who walked into a police station with her parents and told the truth. She was not famous. She was not powerful. She did not have a team of lawyers. She had only what she saw and what she knew and the courage to say it out loud. Virginia Giuffre, who was trafficked to Jeffrey Epstein as a teenager, went on to file civil lawsuits, give congressional testimony, speak publicly for years despite constant legal threats, and force accountability from a member of the British royal family. Determined, she did this while being called a liar by some of the most powerful institutions in the world. She did not stop. More than 150 survivors have received compensation from Epstein's estate, $121 million distributed so far. But every one of those women will tell you the same thing. The money is not the point. The point is the truth and the names, all of them. Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison. Alexander Acosta resigned in disgrace. Prince Andrew has lost his title. And the files, the million pages that remain hidden, are the subject of a legal and political battle that shows no sign of ending. Some of the most powerful people in the world are fighting today to keep those pages from being read. Think about what that means. Think about what must be in them. Jeffrey Epstein built a fortress of money, secrecy, and power. He surrounded himself with the people who could protect him. He recorded everything, not as evidence of his crimes, but as insurance. He believed that as long as the powerful needed him, he was untouchable. He was wrong. Money and power can hide the truth for a while. They cannot hide it forever. One girl in a police station in 2005 proved that. One journalist in a newsroom in 2018 proved that. Every survivor who refused to be bought into silence proved that. The island is empty. But the story is not over. More files are coming. More names will be revealed. And somewhere in those million unreleased pages, the full truth is waiting. It always comes out. It just takes someone brave enough to say it first.